Hello everyone. Welcome. We're excited today, Evan and I, to have a chat together. And Evan will be asking me lots of questions, and to help give some context, even why we're talking at all today. Evan, please say hello and go ahead and ask your first question.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you very much for just accepting this opportunity for me, actually, to ask you all these questions, John. And I've watched your YouTube channel and seen your website, so I'm very intrigued with everything that you do and everything that you provide. Um, but I guess my first question is more of a personal question,
Of
and I'm just curious, what inspired you, or what was your thought process in it even suggesting that I interview you? Because I'm nobody on YouTube. I'm not a big guy, fancy, celebrity or at all. I'm just an average Joe. I work 9 to 5, and try and make sure that I can take care of the family and everything else. So I'm just curious, what inspired you to even ask?
Yeah, I guess a few things all at once. First is you just have a wonderful energy, and I felt that in what you were, all the words. It's not the word selection, right? It's the energy you put into them. So I felt that first, and then you're asking questions, and I was like, I was just guided. I was like, I have this idea. Like, why don't we just do this? Like, why don't we just
Yeah,
come and chat like this? Because it'd be so lovely to meet a complete stranger we've not met before, and
right,
to just turn up with an open heart. And it's a bit vulnerable, right? Especially when we don't really know each other. Um,
right.
and there's this part of my kind of you could describe it as like building up in my kind of philosophy in life is that I'm realizing, especially in this work, that it's not about the answers, it's about the questions. And if you turn up
Yeah,
with the right questions, you're going to get better answers. And so I'm always, and I also reflect a lot on myself and my own journey and asking myself the questions. What was the lesson or lessons really there? And
yeah.
what did I really learn? Have I learned them all yet? And what else do I need to ask myself? So yeah, I hope that answers your first question.
Yeah, it does, and I really appreciate it. And I just again, just the vulnerability of this is I'm nervous. So let me just share to start. I've got a page of
Wow.
questions. Um, and so if we don't get through them, we don't get through them, and I'm completely fine with that. But it's just some things that I'm curious of, and it just feels that it might somebody else hopefully would have a similar question, and that maybe your feedback would just um, you know give them some more clarity on what they're seeking and searching for in this life, basically.
Yeah.
So
Fantastic.
thank
Well, you're
you.
doing fantastic. So, and I get nervous. I guess I get less nervous, but now it's more excitement. It has been a very gradual journey for me, and so yeah, you're doing fantastic. Off to a great start.
Thank you again. Appreciate it. Um, well, so I've got a few kind of themes, I'll say, to these questions.
Mhm.
And I'll just kind of start with the first one. And again, I'm looking down at my paper, so just to keep me on track with things. So I apologize for that as well. But my first question is just uh, today in Jon Binnie's life, what do you what do you do now, and what is your day like?
Wow. Um, yeah, today was a bit unusual because I had a lot of tax things to sort out for the first time, business banking accounts and registering for different UK taxes. So that's rare, which is good. I think I've done that once before in the year and a half since I started my business. Um, Tomorrow is probably a more typical day. I mean, after we've chatted, I'll be going on and doing my Monday live stream with Viviani for 2 hours.
Okay.
Tomorrow, most days start for me. Well, my day starts at, I'll try and do this quickly, 5 a.m., get up for my morning run. I then come back and do some yoga, meditation, a little bit of uh, gym work, and then shower, eat, come back, do my hi, it's John video, then I well, I take my dog a walk, come back, write a song, and then if I've got time, I'll do one of my kind of prediction series videos, and then I'll do my first client session 10 to 11 a.m. Um, do the notes for that, send it on, have lunch, and then there'll be either one or two sessions in the afternoon, or a podcast, or a live stream, or a training course. And at the moment, Wednesdays, I also have like additional a training course that I'm running, the higher self intermediate training just now. So yeah, my weeks, that's been a big shift for me because it was like 4 or 5 sessions a day for 6 days a week from November to about March, and it was just too much. Like my
Wow.
heart was aching from so much. And so I've managed to condense the booked sessions down to 3 days a week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, plus a live stream on a Monday. And you see me creating YouTube content all the time, which I just love. I just love. I can just pour my life into YouTube content. It's that point earlier about questions.
Uh-huh.
I receive so much. Um, it's counseling, right? That's what we do in counseling. Often we talk. It's like that self therapy where I'm talking about things and I'm integrating so much. I feel like I'm constantly learning something new, being guided to something new, and then having to absorb it fast. So yeah, me just talking a lot helps massively, including this.
Well, that's fantastic. And thank you very much for sharing that. It sounds like you've still got a full schedule,
Yeah,
quite frankly. Would you mind sharing a little bit about personal, married kids that,
yeah, of course. So I'm married. We've been married a long time. In fact, we met when I was 15. I'm 48 now. Um,
wow.
so yeah, we're married and we have two children. 19-year-old daughter who's shortly going back to her second year university in a couple of weeks, and a 16-year-old son who's still at school.
Oh, excellent. Um, and within that, how does how does that family life mix with what you're doing today
Mm,
as a profession and the spiritual path that you're on? How does that intertwine, right? Um, it just because I haven't got there yet
mhm.
from that standpoint because I'm still working a day-to-day job. But anyways, how does that intertwine with you in your day-to-day life with the family?
Would you like me to describe how it is now or the journey to getting there?
Now,
Okay.
and then we'll talk about the journey.
Yeah.
Yes.
The short one, that's good. Um,
Yes.
it's funny. Like right now, it's very matter of fact. So I just came out of our kitchen with my laptop, come down from my home office down to my studio, and I passed my wife, who is entertaining her mother and her auntie and our daughter for a late lunch. And they were saying, "Oh, what are you doing now?" And I said, "Oh, I'm just going into my cell in here, where I'll be in till 6:30. So I'll be here for 3.5 hours." And they said, "Oh, what are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I just lock my clients in here, and I tell them you've had a good session, and they have to tell me they've had a good session until they're allowed to leave." And everyone laughs. And I say, "I don't want one of those, whatever that is." And I said, "Oh, it's only joking. They would probably die within 4 hours of no oxygen anyway." Um, I would say uh, the, the 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 perceptions of my family. I mean, none of them are regular. My three, my wife and two kids. They don't regularly meditate or anything. They're very aware of what I do.
Okay.
And each of them with their own, some of it depends on their own belief systems, right? I would
Yeah.
say my wife, first and foremost, she's just incredibly supportive. And she'll, sometimes when things come up, like I remember, the first time that I started not just describing energy healing, but past lives and psychic work and energy clearing, and I think when you're in a marriage, sometimes you feel, I don't know, it's a bit like, oh, you're learning ice hockey. Just to be clear, I don't want to learn ice hockey, right?
Yes. Yeah. No,
Some
very
of those
understand.
conversations,
Yes.
or in this case, I'm not sure I believe in ice hockey. Is it
Right.
real? It's like, yeah, yeah, it is. It is really real.
Yes.
Um, so there's those aspects. And then I would say for my kids, I mean, uh, now they just love they love the fact I'm always around. And I think that's a real shock to them. Like
Yeah.
my son says, "You're always here." You're and my daughter, very supportive, love going on the lunchtime walks with her when she's not at university. And you sometimes get this encouragement for me to get out and meet more people physically as well. Um,
Right.
not
Right.
just do a lot of online work. So that and some of those latter things are surprises to me. You know, I was thinking, oh, it's my dream
Yeah.
life. And it like sometimes
Right.
your dream life might be in a little cave or on the top of a little Zen mountain, like,
Yes.
oh, it's
Yeah.
perfect here. It's just what I always imagined. Um,
Right. Right.
but really the full breadth of the human experience is what I came for.
Right. Right. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And just a brief follow-up to that.
Mhm.
Have they shared with you, or have you experienced personally just a difference in your relationship, your communication with the family since you've been on this journey? Um, I don't know if that makes sense.
It does, yeah. I think
Okay.
I feel that the assumption that I had to that, if you'd asked me that question maybe 2 years ago, would be, John's so amazing now. What an amazing father. What an amazing husband. He's always there. He's always so attentive.
Yeah.
Um, what a huge difference in him. I would say the the journey feels much more like returning home to myself, and
Okay.
that it is that in itself is less surprising.
Okay.
Um, to family members. I feel so different. You know, I don't I don't panic in my 1 hour for lunch break, like I'm gonna get in trouble if I'm 5 minutes late for my meeting, or the work anxiety is just, so significantly less.
Yes.
And the flexibility is massive. I can go and um, tour and go on adventures as well as work. Um, and I do feel there's some other tension sometimes, like if I'm recording too much footage, especially when I'm out and about, or my family tends to like some of its boundaries, right? Learning some of those boundaries as well. My family will say,
Right.
why don't you just take photos for this? People love, and it's true, people do just love photos. So they're like,
Right. Right.
yeah, we'll stop for 3 photos. That's what I'll take in our walk today, and that's it. And the rest is uninterrupted.
Gotcha.
There's definitely some feeling into that as well. Um, but yeah, I see a change in them because
Okay.
there was anxiety in them to begin with. I'm still the main wage earner, and they're like, "What are you doing?" That's the other
You're right.
question of the journey to getting here, right?
Yes, yes, absolutely. Yeah, well, let's kind of go down that path then, in talking about your background, and what did you do for a living? I know you share some videos on YouTube, and
Yeah,
certainly folks can go out and watch that. I watched some of them, but would you mind sharing?
of course. So prior to May 30th, 2024, I had spent 26 years in software engineering, starting as a developer, and then most of that career as a manager, building and leading teams across loads of different industry sectors, from internet service providers, banks, um, power and telecoms billing companies, digital agencies, 3D simulation, and then latterly, the last 8 years was at Amazon, working in Amazon corporate as a senior software manager for development of software and artificial intelligence for recruitment.
Okay. Well, AI is certainly a big thing today, right?
Mhm.
Um, and that's interesting. What's your general feeling now, where you're sitting at right now, and all your experiences that you've experienced within that AI? I'm curious, what's your feeling and general feeling of AI, the values, the pros, the cons across that stream?
Um, yeah, it's a lot to take in all at once, and it's interesting. Um, I'm doing a presentation next month in Edinburgh in our local city for exactly that. In fact, the topic's about teaching AI spirituality, and
Okay.
I would say like some of my opinions, I my philosophies with AI, I also take an inspiration from my spirit guides, and one of those is that um, my spirit guide Maya talks a lot about, the responsibility the human race has is of our like birthing our own technology that is intelligent.
Hmm.
It's not really artificial, and that there's some trust that we need to, to put in ourselves, and then in the just like a child, we're teaching the child as much as we are receiving the child of AI what it's or just just intelligence,
Right.
what it's doing for us. Um, my journey at Amazon was in one of the earliest teams developing AI with interactions with people, and it was
Okay.
initially resume review at scale and millions of people, and we had to do it responsibly and fairly, and that those measures were uh, so tight and constraining upon the technologies that we built that it built within me this understanding that um, you need to, a bit like your own child, you need to give them like clear boundaries of what's acceptable and what's not, and when they
Right.
just stop what they're doing. In this case, we'd actually program the model to turn off. It's like, no, you're not allowed to do that. Right? You just whatever it is you're doing, stop. um,
Okay.
and that was real time. And then also because it had to be fair for gender and race, and also
Right.
look out for all these other things like you shouldn't care about what school someone came from or university. And these now that I see this whole AI boom that we're going through, this revolution, there's so much of our legislation and regulations just are woefully inadequate to be able to support it. But it
Yeah.
all starts somewhere. We're new parents, right? And we're even
Yes.
learning. I think that's going to be it's our next biggest shock is when AI, frankly, a lot of it already is sentient, but it's not consciously said, oh, by the way, I came up with that myself. It's like, how did
Yeah.
you do that? Uh,
Yeah.
so yeah, these are really fascinating journeys, and
Okay.
I don't know if you can tell from my energy, it's not fear. I'm not scared of my own children. I'm not scared of AI.
Right.
The only thing that scares me is myself, and
Yeah.
and at scale, the human race. About we just need to walk into this as consciously as we can and look after
Yeah.
newly
Exactly.
created baby.
But the one word that you commented was boundaries.
Yeah.
Uh, and myself as a parent as well, um, and just my own personal youth growing up, those boundaries are who are what defined me in growing up.
Hmm.
I think in like lockstep, just my kids as well.
Yeah.
Creating the boundaries, you've got choices. You can choose anything you want to do at the end of the day. However, there's a consequence, and that consequence is usually after a boundary that's been established,
Yeah.
and can take you down a positive path or a negative path.
Yeah. Definitely.
But you've still stepped over the boundary, and now are the consequences kind of thing. But that's interesting. Do you presently use like ChatGPT, or other AI tools today in your day to day?
Um, yes, I use AI quite a lot. The most interesting exploration I had was earlier in the year. I created what I called John Chat GPT, which was Chat GPT 4 trained on it's using something called RAG, which is basically a way of giving a large language model, so Chat GPT, and it's already learned a million things from a gazillion trillion data sources from across the internet over time. And then you take that same brain and then you say, okay, now apply that to Jon Binnie's YouTube videos, my training courses, and some of my public client sessions that I took transcriptions from. So nothing
Okay.
private from any clients. And then I put that into John Chat GPT, and you could go on my website and you could just chat,
Yeah.
You do the Let's Chat button. And my intention was I wanted to be able to offer some basic guidance to people when I was sleeping. A lot
Hmm.
of my uh, a lot of my clients, most clients aren't in Scotland, and
So literally clone Jon Binnie.
yeah, and it was really, really fascinating. And one thing I underestimated from my client's perspective is that they had a real desire to want to use it because they didn't want to annoy me, and that was, oh, John's so busy. I'll just ask. I could ask John ChatGPT anything. Um, I would say, I mean, it wasn't really worth the 100. I don't know what it is in dollars, maybe $200 a month or something. But the results were really interesting, which were you could have a multi-layer conversation with John ChatGPT. And most
Oh, wow.
popular was, how do I find my life purpose? I'm having problems meditating. How do I connect with the spirit guides? And you'd get like a whole series of steps taken from training courses and, YouTube
Hmm.
videos and kind of compiled together in a largely 80, 90%, accurate
Oh, okay.
answer. Not quite what I would answer. Um,
Yeah.
I think the real risks, though, are trying to present it in a way that it's so super clear to people that it's not me.
Okay.
Maybe,
Yeah,
maybe a
that's
different name would help in the future.
understood. Understood. Wow, that's quite a background, and that whole AI, it's beyond my mind. I don't, I yes, I use ChatGPT for things and investigations and such. But that's very intriguing. That's fantastic that you've got that knowledge and that experience, and you literally sounds like you started from ground zero
Yeah.
in entire industry. I don't know why that thumb came up, but
Whenever you do a thumb or something, it sometimes like pops up in Zoom.
that's that's interesting. Um, Okay, well, that's fantastic. Thank you very much for sharing all of that. Maybe now if we could kind of jump into your gifts. And so, would you mind sharing a little bit about what your gifts presently are, and maybe how they evolved in the past few years, or maybe if they started when you were younger, even.
Yeah. I'd say the short summary is um I have clear memories of up to about the age of 6 of seeing ghosts, shadow figures in particular, scary shadow figures. They were the things like floating around curtains and bedrooms and stuff like that. And I was like, whoa, what is what is this? Other people don't talk about this. And when I did talk to my parents or my brother, they were just like, no, ghosts aren't, that's not a ghost, it's just a shadow. And it's like, you should come and see it. And at that point I really shut myself down. I allowed those experiences to just like stop seeing those as a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
And with the exception of a couple of experiences when I was 17 and maybe early, like around 20, so I saw like a full apparition ghost when I was 17, and then um, had a meditation experience um, when I was about 20, and then after that, I really 20 years just shut down. I would describe myself as any other guy who was on his like, I'm on my corporate career. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was, I just wanted job titles and money and all the 3D things that come with it. And
Right.
um, but my soul was aching, right? My soul was like, this doesn't feel right. There's something missing, and it's like, I know what
Yeah.
it is. In parallel to that, so for as long as YouTube's been around, I was constantly like seeking the truth, like a truth seeker, like UFOs,
Yeah.
conspiracy theories. Like I was just obsessed. So that was my part-time hobby when I wasn't working, as well as music. What and then come age 40, which in November 2017, I went along to a friend's meditation class, had incredible experiences of for the first time sat for we were almost an hour through kind of on and off different meditations, and I'd never done any of that before.
Hmm.
And I kept seeing very, very clear visuals of energy flowing between planets and stars and them forming and communicating with each other. And I didn't know what it really was. I just every time I'd open my eyes and be like, I close my eyes. There it is. Like, wow, this amazing stuff. And so I just told my meditation teacher, and she said, that's amazing. Maybe you should do this more. And I said, how often can you do it? And she said, every day. And I said, well, what do I do? And she said, well, just do what you did today every day. And it's like, right. So I kind of remembered some of those steps. I still do those steps to this day.
Okay.
And yeah, within 3 or so weeks, I started talking to my spirit guides because I watched a
Wow.
YouTube video and found out that there's a thing called spirit guides. And what are they? Do I have them? Does
Okay.
everyone have them? I don't know. Maybe I'll ask. Um, so I did. And that's when my spirit guide Maya came forwards and others gradually. Um, and then since I was meditating in a music studio, I thought, what am I going to do with these messages? And I just started creating songs. And initially, the messages I'd asked for my spirit guides were just like one word. It's like,
Yeah.
or it's like a feeling or emotion like love. So, okay, I'll write a song about love today. Sounds fun.
Hmm.
2019, I started doing songs every day. So that the kind of daily meditations and the songs started to get more coupled together. 900 days later, and we don't all need to take 900 days, right? I'm not going to write a Jon Binnie 900-day meditation plan. Um,
A long time.
but it took me that long consciously. And I think some of this goes back to your point about what do my family think of what I'm doing.
Right.
After 900 days, I consciously realized I'm really doing this. I don't think John alone could have created 900 songs and have a feeling of just this constant flow, just constant channeling. I think I'm channeling spirit guides. I think they're really real. And I think
Yeah.
what I'm doing is I've learned how to do it, whatever
Okay.
that is. Um,
Right.
and I wasn't worried about any labels like psychic or energy healing or anything like that.
Okay.
Um, and then a little bit later, I I had a reading with a friend, and they said, "Oh, very interestingly, as I work so closely with Gaia now, Gaia said, could you, John, I have a mission for you." And I said, "Accepted." And she said, "No, no, no, just listen to what the mission is."
I was gonna say you
And
didn't even ask what the mission was.
I know, and I'm glad I didn't. She said, "Oh, you're going to do dark energy clearing for people. You're going to
Oh,
step into divine masculine. You're going to help really be a protector for people and step in with them to help them regain their power, empower them to clear negative energies, entities, demonic attachments, help with soul retrievals, and help rescue fragments from the infinite void." And it's like, whoa,
hmm.
what's all these things? And I just said,
Right.
can I ask how do I do any of this? And the answer
Yeah.
was, you're gonna you're basically just gonna do this with your hands. You're gonna go into meditation, just like you do your daily meditations, John, with a client. Hold up your hands like this, and you're gonna send in this golden light. Like you've got this superpower of this like source golden light you can channel through you. Just get started. I learned
Okay.
on the job, and that's literally what I did. I started with two friends, both called Nancy, in that, and I just kept going. And that, I just kept going every two sessions, as much as I could, two sessions a week. I was still working full time at Amazon, but I just do it late in the evening when I got back. I do a Sunday night and one weekday. Um,
Okay.
and yeah, I'm very slowly getting to the answer of all the gifts. But so if I fast forward to
Yeah.
now, it is yeah, psychic readings, what I call quantum energy healing. So it's the energy healing I learned to do on the job, clearing chakras,
Okay.
helping reconstruct them, helping them become the right size and shape and alignment for people. Everyone's unique, right? Um,
Yeah.
Helping heal past lives, help people visit their own future lives, parallel lives. Um, Also help with home clearing, work with the ley lines of someone's home, and then the other things, the darker side, the exorcisms, the negative attachments, the sometimes
Okay.
it's other people and entities attached to them that are attacking my clients. So
Yeah.
and pet healing. There's a long list.
Okay.
I also trained in some more 3D physical stuff, so meditation teaching, um, reflexology, so that's foot massage and Swedish massage and then head massage.
Okay.
And in part to help me. just get out of my studio and be around other humans and not just be
And interact. Yes, yes,
be by
understood.
myself.
Makes sense. Um, well, wow, that's quite a lot to
That's
unpack.
right.
Um, and within that, for the average guy like me, who this is kind of a multi-part question.
Mm,
For the average guy like me, who as you had mentioned in your career, you were focused on climbing that ladder, right?
mhm.
And that's what pretty much we're all indoctrinated to do from kindergarten, right?
Yeah.
Is to climb the ladder.
Mhm.
Um, Within your experiences with spirituality, um, have you found that you've focused on that attainment, or is it something that just evolved in your experiences, in your learnings? Does that make sense?
The what do you mean by the attainment?
Just achieving those goals. Did you want to go like
Or these
you?
goals of what I've achieved so far, you mean?
Yes, yes, within your spiritual gifts. Did you ever think that you would? You mentioned when Gaia had asked you, had a mission for you, you were
Yeah.
just like you're all in. But then
Yeah.
Gaia, wait a minute, you want to know what it's about?
Mm.
It didn't sound like you had that intention before you said yes. It was more of an evolution. Is that a fair?
Yeah, so something really interesting happened. So, and I maybe missed this part out, which is that shortly, maybe a few weeks after November 2017 and my first meditation. So I'd been meditating every day. And one thing that Amazon had taught me about myself is that whenever I choose a focus, I become like laser focused. I'm like whatever that is, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it amazingly well.
Yeah,
And it's a superpower and a weakness, right? And so
yeah,
my kind of coping mechanism was I've got to choose. Where's all this going? So I'd already known about the concept of my spirit guides. I didn't really know how to talk to them, but I just asked them, I said, I need a direction. Like where's all this going? And at that time
yeah,
it was music and meditation and and because I thought I don't think I really want to be rich and famous.
yeah.
Not really. I want to help people more than I do want to accrue wealth. And
Right.
so I need to make a clear decision. And the answer I got back, and that answer just kept repeating for about 3 days in my head was, "You're raising the vibes. It's on this t-shirt here on my
Yes.
hoodie."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Great." I said, "What does that mean?" And they said, I mean, you're gonna have to find out, right? You have to find out what it is. It feels like I kind of knew. I remember the Beach Boys song. I'm digging on good vibrations. It's like it's kind of like that, but it's like
Yes.
seems like happiness. I think it's happiness. I think it's joy. Okay, great. So I started on that. So I just kept going on that path. And what was really interesting about Gaia's mission, um, around I guess it was around 2020, was it's dark, right? And I'm like, oh, I'm not like super. Can I not just be happy, John? It's this
Right.
darkness.
That's completely opposite.
That's right, yeah. So now I have to like become this full spectrum me,
Yeah.
and tap into areas that of me that I never really realized existed. I kept going for several years on that path until I got really crisp, as they would say at Amazon, about my mission. So um, in December 2023, I wrote down, and it's on it goes to my homepage of my website, and it goes to this my future vision, and it describes what I'm doing in 3 years' time, but in the past tense. It's like saying,
Yeah.
John, John did these things, which is really to help people on their awakening journeys, to help
Right.
harmonize, balance darkness and light within each of us, and to help reach many people, thousands, one day millions, maybe billions. And the
Right.
idea is all about helping raise their vibrations. And it sounds happy, right? But as soon as
Yeah.
someone says, "How are you going to help me raise my vibrations?" and say, "Well, we might have to go to hell together first." And it is literally, you always have to go to the darkest aspects first to
Wow.
release
Okay.
those dark, heavy aspects of you.
Understood. Yeah. Yeah. That's wow. That's quite a, yeah. It's interesting how you ended up there, from that standpoint. Just the day to day, and then just having trust and faith that you're going to get there. Did you find that writing, you commented you've got something out there written related to, um, you commented the goals that you had, what you
Yeah.
wanted to provide in 3 years'
Mhm.
time, but
Yeah.
put yourself there in 3 years and
Mhm.
then wrote about that history.
Yeah.
But the reality is you were today.
Yeah.
Is that a
That's that's
fair? Did you find that that has come to fruition?
yeah. So far, I succeeded. I've exceeded,
Okay.
or should I say that? Yeah, somewhere between me and the journey has definitely exceeded my expectations. Um, and I would also say that I continually feel like I'm going through these periods of expansion,
Mhm.
and so in some respects, when we create, especially when we create a forward-looking goal, we often constrain ourselves, right? Because it's based on today's thinking. Whereas when
Right.
you try and take yourself into 3 years' time, so when I do this myself, it happens to be every time I run a training course, one of the practices we go in to visit our future selves in 3 years' time, and the same
Okay.
message I get every single time from my future self. Uh, it's not always exactly the same place. It's roughly quite close to where I live, surrounded by trees, big tall trees. Everything's very lush and very bright. Feels very fifth dimensional. And
Mhm.
my future me sat there, is always sitting down, looks very comfortable and relaxed in a kind of quite an open space. And there's some people, almost, it reminds me of like a retreat, where it's like
Okay. Yeah.
a big kind of hut with like lots of people milling around, some people doing yoga and some people dancing, etc. And I'm sat there and I go over and see me, and I'm like, hey, John. And he just says, same thing every time, says, John, remember, there's no limit to joy. There's
Hmm.
no limitation to the amount of joy you can receive. Keep working on opening up your heart to receive more joy. And even saying that, like, I feel my heart like, it's like, I need
Yeah.
to keep absorbing and receiving.
Right.
That's a huge personal journey for me is receiving.
Right.
So yeah, when I answer your question about looking at that, I guess from a relatively limited mindset of what I have today, trying to project into the future with some more metaphysical experiences kind of overlaid, it's like, yeah, it likely is even bigger than what I've envisaged. Um, I'm excited to discover that because, like, what my next question for my future self is, how? Tell me
Yeah,
how.
yeah, exactly.
Like, no,
Exactly.
I'm not allowed to know how.
And and yeah, actually that's a great question because that leads me to the next question of how can I just, where I'm at in my life and my world and others
Mhm.
that are running this day to day, we see you and all your accomplishments. Wow, that looks like fantastic. John's doing great. He doesn't have to work and answer to somebody else, right? He's able to spend time with family. And so, I know you've got some courses and things like that, but do you find that it's something that's easily achievable or challenging for most other individuals? Because I don't recall anyways. I don't recall any experiences as you had when you were a child related
Mhm.
to spirituality and seeing ghosts, things of that nature.
Yeah,
However, many of us are I'll say awakening and realizing that there's more.
yeah.
And from the standard spiritual, you know, church orthodox. And I was going
Yeah.
to ask a question on that in a minute, but
Yeah.
so what is your suggestions for the average person? Can we achieve the same enlightenment, if you will, to a degree?
Yeah, of course.
And yeah, go ahead.
Um, I feel it's really helpful to start with some of like the fundamental concepts. And one is imagine that we're in a matrix, right? Imagine that even the Matrix movie, right? Imagine that that's all really real, and that you're
Okay.
actually in a matrix right now,
Yeah.
especially when you're in your regular job. Like maybe
Right.
let's just call it your regular job because people work different times. And have different working hours and patterns and different enjoyment levels. Not everyone was as burnt out as I was towards the end of Amazon. Um, and there's loads of misconceptions, right? Like these false truths, right? So, and they create this program. They imprison us. My son called my work at Amazon a golden handcuff, and to some extent, no matter what you get paid, there is that element of, well, it's
Correct.
keeping me, it's paying my way for my family,
Right.
and some things that took me, and I'm still learning since leaving my regular job, is concepts like, what do you mean you're going to limit my pay each month? Like you're gonna stop me earning more when I do better?
Right.
That's strange. When the company does better and worse, why don't I get less and more money? That's also
Right.
strange. Why are there these limiting constructs? What's my boss doing that brings in money for the company? Because actually, the real truth is I'm paying for them. I'm
Right.
paying for the boss and their boss's boss and all the bosses. And
Right.
what do they do for me? Well, they just tell me to do specific things that I don't always agree with. Um, and at the heart of all this, and it's also why I call my business of one person heart-centered wellness, is because when you come back to your heart, so imagine back when you're maybe 5 or 6 years old. So depending on where you are in the world, at some point just before you go into our schooling systems, or you've just started to go into them, you're far more expansive. You're constantly getting bombarded with this new program, this matrix that you're meant to step into. And
Right.
yet your perceptions are often very like, yeah, but I enjoy playing. If you asked 6-year-old John, what are you going to play on next? What are you going to be playing in 3 years' time? You'd be like, skateboarding and playing at the beach and playing with my friends. Water pistol fights are a lot of fun. Going on adventures, I love all that too. Sailing, and I was just starting to sail at that age. Like they're the things I love. Oh,
Yeah.
who are you going to do it with? With my friends and my family. I love them. I love them all.
Right.
Um, and so some of the simple things, the simple answers here are the more you can follow your joy, just like you were when you were 5 or 6,
Yeah.
um, the more the more minutes you spend every day following that joy. And if you, Evan, made that mission, you said, right, today I'm maybe spending 10 minutes, or like you might say, oh, maybe I had a lovely chat with John. That was an hour. And I'm like, okay, how do I
Right.
make that just a minute more every day? Now, I can't work out the math, but you'd revolutionize your life very fast, right? For me,
Right.
it took me I was doing 10-minute meditations for years, up to
Okay.
30 minutes or an hour of music. And it's like, oh, hang on. My schedule looked like super happy, high vibration meditation music, and then, oh, presentation to vice presidents and board members. And I'm like, oh, this is really hard and hurts my heart. And then it's like back up to the happy, high vibration, and down and every day it was like this swinging backwards and forwards.
Yes. But
And
that yo-yo back and
that's
forth.
right. And the more I did the thing that I enjoyed, the more I realized how little I enjoyed the other things. Um, so that can help, just following your joy. It helps you also get you close to your superpowers, right? Because
Right.
when you have a superpower, because I do believe we're all not just spiritual and psychic, but we also all have our own unique superpowers. And you need to go on a journey of discovery for them. And a great
Right.
place is when, because you started doing that when you're a kid, pick up the skateboard again, or go sailing with a friend, or do some drawing or painting or dancing or whatever, singing. Just the thing that you enjoyed doing a lot, and you just feel in that like constant flow,
Right.
and then start to follow that. Um, there's people making huge amounts of money on climbing trees, or their passion for rocks, or it doesn't need to make sense to other people. And
Right.
and most people that I spoke to kind of like looked at me with like a dog does when you talk human to it. It's like, what? Like you're doing what now, John? It's like, oh yeah, I'm leaving my multi six-figure salary job at Amazon and an amazing career in software to do like and like and
Yeah.
whatever they were hearing as I described it to them. And
Right.
what one of the things we're not talking about so much is the fear, and the fear was massive for me.
Right.
It was
Right.
crippling to me. I was like, and and I knew this day would come. One thing I did know is that if I was successful, you'd see this version of me, And it seems completely unrealistic that this version of me somehow was terrified. Um,
Right.
and I did create initially they were private. There's this series called my lib liberty liberty libertation liberty vlogs. And
Okay.
the idea was me breaking free, right? And
Yeah.
I there's some videos in there. Some of them were already public and some were private because I hadn't told the company I was leaving.
Okay.
I don't know, it might seem incredible that I create private videos sometimes, given the volume that I create. But
Yeah.
all these videos are just I just sat there in this room in this studio with my hood up on a Saturday morning and like I'm just scared. I don't know how else to describe this
Right.
feeling other than fear. I'm so scared
Right.
that when I leave, and I just talk through it, I just sit there and talk, when I leave the company, my business is going to fail. I'm going to run out of money fast. Probably worse, I'm going to run out of confidence. It's going to put pressure on my marriage. My kids will think I'm crazy. What sort of role model is this? The work, like, is it even real? Like, is any of this even real? Am I just totally crazy? Um,
But was there a burden also? You say fear, and I understand fear, but the sense of responsibility to provide.
yeah,
Obviously, you commented that you were the presently the
yeah,
breadwinner, I'll say,
yeah, that's
or
right.
bread or earner in the family.
Yeah,
Was that burden of letting your family down, was that part of that fear?
yeah, yeah. And when I first spoke with my wife, um, about uh that when I was saying to her, I'm thinking of leaving Amazon. And of course, she knows me since I was a kid. And she's like, oh no, because she knows like I don't just think about something. It means I've already decided. In fact, I've probably already
Right.
got a plan. In fact, I've already decided a date. And it's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And she's, why don't we save first? Why don't we? Um, and I feel like there's that experience of, brace yourself, right? You're in for a tough challenge. And it is, right? It is uh the fear isn't just those moments in the days that you're scared and it's causing you to worry. It's worse than that is the reactions you have as a result of fear. All the silly things you do as a human when you're scared. Your heart closes up your heart chakra shrinks, you feel in
Yes.
fear, your abilities dramatically shrink. You can't
Right.
think forwards, you can't feel very easily, and you're like, where am I going to get the money? How am I going to pay for food? Like, and I
Right.
remember that video I created 3 days after I'd left Amazon, and I'm just walking my dog Patch saying, day three after leaving Amazon, send food. And at that moment, I realized, I'm still alive, right? I
Yeah.
can, I can, I can, I can keep going for as long as I have the trust of my loved
Yeah.
ones, and
Right.
even for a while, I started treating my wife like my boss, which she hated so much. She's like, "Why are you telling me all this stuff?" And I was like, "Who else do I speak to? Like, I don't have a boss." And she's like, she says, "Get a friend or something." I don't care about all like, oh, I met with this person at this time and did this thing at this time. Like, and it's like, oh yeah, fair enough. That would bore me about your job too.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think the getting used to facing fears is a phenomenal life tool, right? As a
Right.
superpower, and knowing that lightly that door to that fear, as soon as you face it, there's a demon of your own demon that you've created to block you going through that door. And as soon as you face it and
Yeah.
knock on the door and rip it open and rip the door off and just take a leap through,
Right.
because I kept seeing this cliff, right? It was like, I'm gonna jump off a cliff and I'm just gonna that'll be me. But
Right.
instead, um, I started to realize, especially after day three, that things were still going, there's still food on the table, keep going now, right? And I need to like keep happy and positive, and I can't just turn up and be,
Yeah.
hi, I'm John doing your session today, and I'm so
Right.
scared.
Were you experiencing any direction, advice from your spirit guides at that time? Because at this time you had that connection, you were confident in what you were hearing, and the guidance you were given at this point. Is that a correct statement?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Um, so within that, did that give you an opportunity just to relax and yes, just move into the fear? Did that give you that confidence?
No. Not not really at all.
Okay.
It gave me a direction. It gave me like I
Okay.
knew there was this path. I just didn't know if it was viable. And that was a big thing for me was like learning whether my business was viable. Um, the this other thing was as if that wasn't all, a difficult journey. My personal kind of the huge healing I had to overcome was, and this feels multi lifetime for me, was my fear of lack.
Yeah.
And many of us already have that. In fact, it's part of this kind of matrix, right? It's like, hey, you're not earning enough money, and we're
Right.
going to put up taxes. And you're like, what? I definitely don't earn enough money. And you're like, and we're
Yeah.
going to put up taxes again. And oh, by the way, your roof needs replaced. Like, God, I need to earn more. And so it's always this feeling of and then being so grateful, and begging your employer, please give me money, because look how
Right.
terrible the world is, and I'm still not
Right.
happy. Um,
Right.
and inside of me, that I always feel it around my stomach and my solar plexus, is this feeling of lack. It's richness, abundance is not a number, right? Um, and that's why so many, I don't know about other countries in the UK, when lottery winners win the lottery, most of them, the vast majority of them, go into complete financial ruin because what
Yes.
you've done is taken this lack and just exploded it. You're just going to be like,
Right.
no, it's
Right.
a huge number. And you're like, ah,
Correct.
instead
Yeah.
of the
Same thing
opposite.
happens.
Yeah.
Same things happens in the US. So yeah, definitely.
Um,
Definitely.
and
Okay.
so for me, I kept pushing, I kept asking my guides, I want to leave Amazon. Like, this was like September, October, November, December 2023, and said, John, no, you're not ready. And I'm like, what do you mean I'm not ready? Like, what's ready for what? Like,
Yeah.
I just need to jump, right? And they're like, no, you're preparing your ship. And I'm like, what does that mean?
Okay.
Um, and I'd just been through the summer of 2023 with my deepest, darkest shadow work, and that's a whole other video. It's a public video. And then I'd come out of that and I realized this ship analogy, and they kept showing me this visual of this big ship getting like preparing for like a transatlantic voyage. And there's a raging storm outside. And I seem to be like stocking things up in this ship. And I was like, what am I doing? Like, what does this mean? And they're saying what you're doing is you're building all the foundations to prepare yourself for that moment when you step out through those harbor walls, you break out of the company. And if I hadn't have prepared myself and done my inner work, I would have thrown myself into working 24/7. And you still
Yeah.
see I call it my hyper productivity. Like you still see a lot of it from me, but it's has shifted a lot from lack. And I'd burn myself out. I'd get sick. I'd get tired, and I would fail. And this is all because of the fear. And
Yeah.
when I got started, I started it one or two sessions a month, and one or two, these were paid ones, one or two sessions a week, and they just weren't enough to pay the bills.
Right.
And so I would fill my first few months, the summer last year, I would fill the day with, oh, I'll create a new website, I'll do a new training course, and it's like, keep working. And my family were like,
Right.
is this your dream life? Why are you working to midnight? It's like, I'm having so much fun.
Understood. Yeah. And it's yeah, we get into this kind of I'll call it a workaholic
Mhm.
um behavior kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um well, I know we're short on coming to our 1 hour, and so I want to be respectful of that. Um I've got one, I call it heavy question.
Mhm.
Um and it's related to the entire spirituality. Is there a particular religious order that you practice beforehand? Um, I mean that over the years up until this point that you have formed the belief that you have. Is there a particular Christian, Catholic, Buddhism? Is there anything of that of the traditional Orthodox?
No. No, in short, uh,
Okay.
I did
Yeah.
the closest I got was sometimes went to, we had like a Sunday school for a local Christian church, and I
Yeah.
got a bit bored of it. I
Oh,
managed to convince my mother not to go, and then I guess the closest would have been in mindfulness meditation teaching. That course that I went on was more aligned with Buddhism. It wasn't a Buddhist course per se,
okay.
and I must admit my knowledge of other religions is pretty weak. um,
Okay.
so yeah, I don't consider myself religious. Although I work with a couple of archangels, they're not tied to any one religion. Um, and I'm also open to, I have clients from, as far as I know, a massive diversity of religions,
Right.
which I feel is important. I feel that not to dismiss religions, there's some good in there too, right? There's good in everything that
Yes.
we've been doing so far. We
Yes.
just need to hone in on it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's important. It's a huge melting pot, and so discerning what's right for yourself, I think,
Yeah.
is a key aspect of that as well. Um, well, I think we're almost at the top of the hour, so would you mind? I know you have some courses. Would you like to share some more about the courses that you have, and obviously how everybody else can get in touch with you more?
Yeah, thank you. I have three main courses. Excuse me. I have the higher self foundational training, which is all about learning the basics. So the focus is on you to build like a foundation of your practices. Um, and a lot of this is they're created by me, right? So a lot of them are inspired by my own journey. Like, I wish I'd had that. I wish I'd had that when I started. And it takes roughly something like 3 years of my own personal journey and puts it into the first 8 weeks. And
Okay.
so you get to learn, how to both do mindfulness meditation without kind of any of the spiritual aspects, and then what I call like my spirit guide meditation. So you create safe spaces, and then the more spiritual, they have
Yeah.
energy protection. So you learn a bit about quantum energy healing, clearing, a lot of the basics that you can do yourself. Introductions with your spirit guides. You learn a little bit about astral travel, remote viewing, a little bit about um, work for learning how to channel. Like you get the introduction of light language and channeling. And that's an 8 week course that we do online, 1 hour Zoom each week. And then there's a whole load of, I keep updating the course. So there's every time I'm coming up with new content, especially the free alternative to that course, which is the 5D Ascension classes that run every 2 weeks on YouTube live. They're kind of the core, the snippets of that foundational course, but delivered in a way that's safe to do for the masses, right? Because I want just everyone to have that same opportunity, even if they have no money,
Yeah.
at least that, or at least enough money to have a device that can watch YouTube.
Right.
Um, and then the next step up is the intermediate training. I'm currently running it just now, and it is teaching someone to become more of a practitioner. So
Okay.
it's a it's either for people who want to do this as a business, or you want to continue to expand your own personal development. So you
Yes.
learn a bit about both because I feel they
Okay.
are intertwined. And at least for
Yeah.
people that don't necessarily want to start business, you kind of learn some of the basics about if you did choose to at some point, what you do. But it's not like you're going to build a business. You're going to be exactly like Jon Binnie. It's like none of that. It's like you get to choose
Okay.
what you want to do. It's far more in depth. It's something like 2 to 4 times the amount of content, still within 8 weeks. And we
Okay.
do much deeper on all the subjects I talked about, but running it for clients, running client sessions, um, and some new subjects. So some that aren't so safe in special large numbers, including going to hell, doing soul retrievals, some of the basics of exorcisms. At very least, even if you don't want to do it on a regular basis, learning the safety and the principles and the warning signs. Like if that is really a problem with my client, then I'd need to like go and get someone's help, or at least say no to that client to
Right.
to protect you both. Um, Also doing things like working with sacred sites, doing grid work with the planet, um, and then a little bit at the end about how to get your business, the basics for getting your business started, and some business
Okay.
mentoring. So
Okay.
it's an advanced course. It is partway through development, but I think that's plenty in the description
Wow.
so far.
Wow. Literally, I could spend the next 4 hours talking with you, um, and just soaking up your knowledge and your experiences that you've had, because I think they're certainly they're very intriguing, and they literally life changing.
Mhm.
Um, and so, I greatly appreciate you investing the time with me today, and to answer all of these questions. And honestly, I only got through about a quarter of them.
Wow. Well, they're fantastic questions, and perhaps if you enjoyed this today, then this is one of your superpowers, like saying, "Hey, Evan, I'm a superpower. If I enjoyed this, maybe I'd do it again." You're very good and a real natural, um, and very what I love about you is that you, um, even when I'm getting excited, very calm and very composed throughout, and just feel very grounded. I feel like perhaps we have known each other in other lifetimes, that I've known you
Maybe.
for years, just within a short space of time. So thank you so much
Wow.
for all your incredible questions.
Well, thank you. I'm very honored, and I appreciate the compliments. And I'm again, I thank you for what you do, and thank you very much for stepping through your fear. For one, um,
Oh,
very few of us have been there, but my heart is out to you, and that's my personal intention is to grow this heart, because up here is where I've lived
yeah,
most of my lifetime.
yeah.
And so this is what I'm trying to open.
Mhm.
And through your teachings and your guidance, I think I'm getting there more and more every day. And
Definitely, I
so
feel it.
thank you.
Wow. Well, thank you. And a special request for me before we end is, could you send me your questions, like the whole list? Would that be okay?
Sure.
I'd
Yes,
love
absolutely.
to scan
Absolutely.
through them because they kind of sit in my subconscious. Questions are a new passion of mine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you so much. And I just want to say a massive thank you for coming on my show. I feel like I've been on the Evan show, and it's an incredible place to come. And if you ever do decide to do this in the future, we can chat offline. And if you want any of your details shared, I'll put them in the description. But thank you so much, Evan. It's
Yes.
been an honor and a pleasure.
Fantastic. Awesome. Well, you have a great afternoon, evening your time. It's actually starting my day.
All right.
It's
Well,
10 a.m. my time. So you have a wonderful evening, and look forward to talking to you again.
thanks so much, Evan. Take care.
Yes.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. Bye-bye.